Right. Hello, and thank you everyone so much for joining us today for this edition of the 49er Industry Chat. My name is Jenna Quinn, and it's my pleasure as the Assistant Director of Alumni and Affinity Engagement to welcome you all. Before we start, just wanted to let you know that this video is recorded. So what that really means for you is that in addition to being able to view it now, you'll be also able to view it online at our website at www.csulb.edu/alumni. And so with that, I would love to introduce today our guest speaker, VJ Rosales. Hi, VJ.
Hi, how's it going?
Going good with me. So
Yay.
I just wanted to go ahead and read off your bio to everyone, let them know, kind of who you are and what you're about.
Sure.
So VJ is a Los Angeles-based singer-songwriter and holds a degree in choral vocal education and jazz study performance from CSU LB. Professionally engaged in the music realm, BJ is a member of the Filharmonic, spelled F-I-L, an all-Filipino-American quintet known for their success on NBC's The Sing-Off in 2013 and subsequent achievements, including roles in Pitch Perfect 2 and as the in-house a cappella group for The Late Late Show with James Corden. Serving as the group's music director, BJ has directed and arranged 8 Late Late Show riff-offs featuring prominent artists like Anna Kendrick, Shawn Mendes, Lizzo, John Legend. And alongside his group commitments, BJ pursues a solo career, regularly releasing singles and serving as a vocal coach on Fox's The Masked Singer. As the a cappella landscape evolves, BJ remains dedicated to global music creation, teaching, and arranging. Wow, BJ.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. And
Of course.
it's our honor. I think that there's a lot that comes to mind and a lot of things that people are interested and want to know.
Mm,
But let's just start off with a little bit of background about you.
mhm.
What is your life and experience has been like that kind of led you to coming to CSULP?
Yeah, so basically I am a Filipino-American boy born and raised here in the 562 area. I was grew up in Bellflower, went to Downey High School, and then went to Cal State Long Beach. So it was kind of, I was just a local boy from the beginning, and I wanted to stay in this area because I loved it so much. It's where I grew up, and my parents are from the Philippines. So it kind of started when I don't know if you've ever been to a Filipino party, but we are mad about karaoke and we take it very seriously. Even though karaoke is supposed to be like a fun thing, we're just known for like singing karaoke down, meaning we just love to do karaoke great. So basically that's how I started. At a very young age, I started singing karaoke and my parents would make me do it and they realized that I had a voice and that I loved to sing. And so throughout my life, just growing up, I was in like music programs, jazz choir, marching band, all of that good stuff. And then I realized like this is probably something I want to do for the rest of my life. Maybe. So I ended up going to Cal State Long Beach, and honestly, Cal State Long Beach was the only college that I applied to. Um,
Wow, I'm
yeah,
honored.
I know. My sister was an alum there, and she had such a great time, and she got a degree and everything, and I was like, oh, I want to do what she does. So I went to Cal State Long Beach, and I decided to actually be a biology major first because I thought that maybe music wasn't going to pay the bills. And I was wrong about that. It's one of those things that you never know what could happen, but I'm really glad that I decided to major in music.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, is your sister also in music?
No, she was a communications major. So she's actually the manager of the Philharmonic now. So It's kind of cool. Bunch
Yeah,
of Cal State Long Beach alum just doing the music industry.
I
So
love that. I love that so much. Well,
yeah.
you kind of touched on it a little bit. You started as a biology major,
Hmm.
but I mean, and then of course changed your mind. But what was your student experience like? I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of clubs were you into, if you were, any peer groups or professors or anything like that that really stuck out to you that made you, maybe shaped you going where you were going?
Yes, I truly think that well, I would never trade my education for anything else. It was definitely like a big part of where I am today. Like I feel like I wouldn't be here if if I didn't have the education that I had from Cal State Long Beach, just because there I met, my mentors, Christine Guter, who is the head of vocal jazz in the music department, Jonathan Talberg, who's head of choral studies there. Those two main figures were kind of my main mentors going through that program and really shaping me and inspiring me to do what I do today. And so I was a part of their ensembles there, which is like the vocal jazz group Pacific Standard Time, and then of course the chamber group, which is the top choral group in that music department. And I would just say that like I would never trade my education there because not only was it an education, but it was an entire experience. Like I really did feel like I belonged to a particular community there. And it helped to kind of ground me. And also just like at the same time I was learning. So it was just like great all around. So I think that was what was great about going to Cal State Long Beach was even though it was a commuter school and that like people would, commute there, just being a part of the music program and being a part of those ensembles really helped to build community, which I loved.
Yeah, no, and it honestly sounds like you learned a lot from not just your teachers, but from your peers as well.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And that's another thing too, is through the peer, I was being challenged and the music program there, the Bob Cole Conservatory of Music, it was such a huge community of just really, really great musicians. And it was so good to be surrounded by really top-notch musicians. It really pushed me to be better.
Yeah. I mean, I think I feel like when we talk to folks who are really involved in music or you know, majored in it, their path to where they were and where they ended up,
Mm,
looked all kinds of ways that they didn't think it would look.
yes.
What has your path into the music industry and through the music industry from CSULB, like, what were those first steps? What did they look
Mhm.
like? And were they what you thought they were going to look like?
No, they weren't. Like you said, it's very, very unexpected, especially with music. Just being in the arts in general, it's like you never know where your degree will take you. And so I had a lot of ideas. I knew I wanted to teach because I loved teaching. So I went into that first, and I taught at like a really small little private lesson school at first. But I knew just being again pushed by the academic part of Cal State Long Beach and being pushed to be better and be great. I started auditioning for things and started putting myself out there as an artist. And so I created a YouTube channel, I auditioned for The Voice, like I just started doing a bunch of stuff, just being active within the industry. And then I started to branch out, which is huge too. So I think that a major part of me being where I am today was not only, once I got out of Cal State Long Beach, not staying in that bubble and making sure that I branched out and reached other communities.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I think I'm also curious as to the Philharmonic and
Yes.
what was the origins of that? I mean, was that something that was born out of community that you already knew? Did you go and find it?
Hmm.
What was that founding like, and what have you guys been up to?
That's a great question. Basically, the Philharmonic started because we were on a show called NBC's The Sing Off, which was an a cappella show back in like 2013. And so the show was actually looking for a K-pop group because you know how big K-pop is. It's
Still
huge, huge,
is.
huge, just still is. still very, very big. But they couldn't find a Korean pop group, so they were like, well, we have a bunch of Filipinos who could sing, right? So three of the guys, they came from Mount San Antonio College, and they actually had seen me on The Voice. So because I was on The Voice and that premiered, they were like, hey, this Filipino guy is a singer. And so they brought me over to join the group. And then we called it the Philharmonic. Mind you, we had just met for this show. And so we auditioned for the show and we made it. And so, yeah, so basically this show pretty much branded us and was like, hey, it's, five Filipino guys who can sing a cappella. And from then on, we started, the rest was history after that.
That rocks. And I mean,
Yeah.
you guys seem to have quite an impressive lineup there of credits under your belt.
Aw, thank you.
How did you guys find your way into these opportunities, right? I think a lot of students who have ambitions of being in the music industry think to themselves, is it just audition, 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 or
Mhm.
like where do you find the opportunities, and
Yes.
how do you feel like you guys set yourself up for success?
Yeah, I think what I've learned about life is that the domino effect is so very true. When you start something, it just leads to other things. That's just a like life truth, right? And so I guess with being a Cal State Long Beach student, I remember being very nervous about the real world. I remember going into it being like, I don't know where this is going to take me. I'm nervous. I don't know what's happening. But then I realized that once you start something, it just leads to another thing and it leads to another. So for me, when I auditioned for The Voice, when I started putting myself out there, that domino effect led to other things. It led to me being in the Philharmonic because I was in The Voice. And then being in the Philharmonic, I was on NBC's The Sing Off, which led to Pitch Perfect 2 because they had the same music director. Domino effect, right? And then that led to James Corden because James Corden wanted to showcase people that was in the movie. So especially in the music industry too, I would say the domino effect is definitely true. And I would say for any, in terms of networking, it is all about that theory of the domino effect. And yeah, just start basically.
Just start, just one thing after the one
Yeah,
thing or the other.
yeah. And it's weird too because again, the domino effect is you never know what the dominoes, what will happen with each domino. It's truly kind of it's surprising, actually. So you may think you want to go to a specific place, but then it leads you somewhere else, and it's great. It's you just never expect it, and I think that that's the beauty of life. So
Yeah, no, that's beautiful.
thank
Well,
you.
right now, you are working I mean, as many things, right? As a musician in general,
Hmm.
but as a vocal coach for The Masked Singer.
Hmm.
I don't know why I can't get that. It's not
It's
singer.
kind of hard to say.
Yeah,
Masked singer. Yeah. I just realized that. Yeah.
yeah. But with that and with the other projects that you're doing, um, as to the best of your ability to answer this question, what does a typical day look like for you?
Mm. Yeah, so I mean specifically on The Masked Singer, it's crazy. It's definitely it's not a 9 to 5, it's more like a 9 to 9.
Wow.
And within the music industry, and especially within television, that's what it usually is like. There's not a set amount of time. It's like you arrive in the morning and then you leave late at night because your ultimate goal is to get the best product out of kind of what's handed to you, kind of what they're trying to present, basically. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, it just matters, how do you get the job done and how do you do it excellently. So I think just a normal typical day would just be starting at 9 a.m., warming up the celebrities that come in to sing for the show. This past Masked Singer was season 10. We had like Neo, Keisha Cole. We had a ton of R&B singers that I was specifically in charge of because growing up, that was my specialty kind of a thing. So they knew me, the show knew me to have that specific specialty. So I was able to work with those artists. And throughout the day, you would just work with them, warm them up, make sure they're good with their songs, make sure they feel really comfortable vocally. And as a vocal coach, that's your job to just make sure they sound good. That's the end goal. And yeah, that's basically the entire day, warming them up, getting them ready for stage, giving them notes, making sure that they are just really comfortable with their job and doing it well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is it hard to keep the secrets?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, you have to like sign an NDA and it's like the worst thing ever because I'm like, I really want to like say it.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm
Um,
working with this really amazing
I
person every
know.
day and I
And
can't tell anybody.
you can't say anything until it actually airs. So it's kind of actually nice though when it actually airs because it's like, oh yes, I deserve this. Like I deserve it's like opening a present, you know, you're just waiting to open it. But honestly, it's definitely worth it. That like just working with celebrities, but also just gaining the experience and just learning from them too. Because like when you coach them, you're also learning at the same time. That's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so and you know, with this, I imagine, it's 9 to 9, right? Like
Hmm.
this is your whole day, but um what does it look like trying to balance that with some of your other passions, with your life, like,
Hmm.
that personal life kind of thing?
Yes.
What does that whole equation look like for you? How do you handle all that?
Oh, yeah, the equation is very lopsided. It's very like music and then personal life. It can get that way, but I'm learning as I grow and as I mature, as like I'm just like learning to balance it more. Um, Christine Gooder, who is a professor at Cal State Long Beach, she told me that music is just a part of life and that it should be just a good balance between what you do and your professional life versus like your personal life. So I've been learning to balance that out because the hard thing about doing music is that you are constantly thinking about it if it is your passion. It is like 24/7, it's what you do, and that could be for anything you do, right? Anything you're passionate about. So you just have to learn how to like, take it easy and focus on, making sure that you don't burn out and that you don't get tired because being passionate about something it can really take over your life and it's good and sometimes it has its downfalls but you just have to learn how to have that good balance.
Yeah,
That's what I'm continuing to learn and I'm never perfect at it but it's always just a balancing act.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's a tough one. I feel like I hear a lot of folks who, they came from the beach with a music degree and they're
Mm.
like, you know what? I realize that this is my passion and it's not necessarily what I want
Mm.
to pay my bills with.
Yeah.
But you do.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something, everyone learns along the way. And I'm grateful to be able to have jobs where it pays the bills and I can do music full time. And but that's something that like I think it's something you just have to learn for yourself and it's not going to be for everyone and um that's really the main thing is that you have to go and actually try it. You have to do it and you have to be brave.
put
So
yourself out there.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what would you say is the most challenging part of working in the music industry?
Mm. Ooh, I think one thing lately, because it's a new year, happy 2024, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm not used to writing it yet.
I
2024.
know,
Not.
same. Yeah, I'm still kind of stuck in 2023. My actual hand is like, ah.
Oh,
Um, yeah. But I think one of the hardest things or most challenging things is kind of trusting yourself to be able to do the job.
mm,
Because in the industry, you come along, you meet all sorts of people that will challenge you in ways where you might think that you're not good enough. And that's a major theme in the industry. There's always comparison, there's always this feeling of competition. But really, and this is so cliche, but like the competition is truly with yourself. People will say it all the time and people don't understand what that means. But I really finally understand it because in my mind, as I'm coaching these incredible celebrities that have made it, right? And that in terms of like, what is making it really? But you realize that they're just human beings too. And that they're just, trying to pay the bills, or they're just like trying to do their job as best as they can. And then you realize you're like, oh, I'm human too. And that's honestly what I'm doing as well. I'm just trying to pay the bills, and I'm also just trying to do my job well. So in the end, you realize that everyone's human and that the true competition is really with yourself. It's really like trying to own the lies that your mind might be telling you about um, that maybe you can't do this job or that you're not worthy enough. But really, in the end, it's like you're really just battling your mind and yourself. So you can do this. You got this. Tell yourself that you are good enough and that you are worthy. And I promise you, there is no competition in the industry but yourself.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. I mean, I know that, if I was, standing up there with Lizzo, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yes.
imposter syndrome would be a
Oh,
big
imposter
problem.
syndrome, absolutely. And that's what I felt with a lot just starting out. But then I realized, like, as I'm there with Lizzo and I'm working with her and I'm saying, this is the key that we're singing in, let's work through this. She's working through it too. And she's a human, right? And so we're both not perfect at this thing, but we're trying to be the best that we can be at it. And
Yeah.
it's so really cool to see these celebrities be in their human form and working with them. I think that's the greatest gift about being in the industry, is realizing that no matter how great you are or you are kind of portrayed to be, you are still just a human being. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you may have just answered my next question, but I'll throw it out there anyway.
Yay! Oh my gosh.
What is the most rewarding part about being in the music
Oh
industry?
my gosh. Yes. Well, what I just said,
That and
that. But I think what's gratifying about being in the industry is all the work that I put in to my craft at Cal State Long Beach, all of those hours in those practice rooms, all of the things that I've done to get better at my craft pays off when you do really good work on these type of jobs. For me specifically, with the Masked Singer and being on Pitch Perfect 2, what's so great about that from my musician soul is that, oh wow, like I'm doing it, and I'm doing a really good job. And so to be able to say that to yourself with these successes it's just gratifying. It's just very nice. And then in turn of that, it's just you're grateful. You're grateful for the life that you lead because for me specifically too, being a musician is not something everyone gets to do. It truly is an actual privilege. So I think that is one of the best parts about my job is that I'm able to do something that not a lot of people get the chance to do. And it's something to be grateful for.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how important is mentorship in the
Mm,
music industry? And, who are your mentors? Do
mm.
you mentor anybody? And really, what does that look like?
Yeah, so basically Christine Gooder, who again is in charge of the vocal jazz group at Cal State Long Beach and the program itself. Um, I was a jazz major, the jazz performance major there, and she was my mentor for about like 5 years, like five years through. I went to school basically because of her, because she was like, one of the just the big shots in that program. And everyone knows about her in that world, in the vocal jazz world, like she's the biggest thing. And so to be able to kind of be taken under her wing for the those 5 years was an incredible just learning experience for me. And a lot of the things that I do now is literally because of her. So I think mentorship is absolutely important. to have, for someone to be there to kind of guide you through things, to look up to someone is a very important thing of not just your craft, but just the life in general, right? Mom or dad, sister, brother, anyone who you kind of can look up to is an important concept and an important thing to have in your life. Um, right now, currently, the Filharmonic, we are starting to mentor younger singers, and we put them into a group. We have two groups specifically now that we mentor and that we kind of outsource to the gigs that we can no longer do just because of like, other things that we're starting to branch out with. So for example, we have two groups under our wing right now, which is Philosophies, also spelled with an F-I-L, which is an all-Filipino group. So we're taking like young Filipino-American singers and, that just kind of guiding them and like having fun with them too and singing with them and building community with them. And also putting them out with gigs and putting them out to jobs. And then we have another group called Vocal Soul, which is an actual like Korean pop a cappella group. And they're actually doing Lunar New Year at Disney this year. So yeah, so we just have, other groups that we're starting to mentor too, because we are starting to get older. We have other things, but it's also nice to just kind of give opportunities to other singers. So
Yeah, no way, man. You're not getting older. You look like
ah,
a
thank
fresh
you.
sophomore at CSU LV.
I love that's the best compliment ever. I appreciate that so much. Skincare, y'all. That's another thing. It's all about the skincare.
All about the skincare. All right. Well, hey, the next chat will get deep into your skincare routine. I
Yes.
promise.
You have really nice skin too, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You do skincare routines too, I'm sure.
My wife makes me, so.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Nice.
So, what back to the chat.
Hmm.
Um, how does networking function, right? Like I feel like a lot of people, their views of networking, like in the corporate world or elsewhere, even in
Hmm.
the nonprofit world, that kind of looks like handing out your business card at different events or other forms of networking, maybe online.
Uh-huh.
How does networking function in the music industry? And does it look the same? Does it look very different? And
Mm.
where might folks want to start with that networking?
Yes, networking is a double-edged sword because we have something called social media, right?
Yes.
And honestly, social media started for me specifically in 2009 when YouTube was becoming really, really big. That, I started there, I started my channel there, and then I branched out. Instagram started becoming big in like 2013, 2014, so I started to place all my content there. And so it's one of those things where it's like, you kind of hate social media just because it's like a part of your life and it's everywhere. But also at the same time, it helps to promote your music. So it's just like one of those things where it's like, this is how you network. This is the thing that you have to use to try to network out there. And that's what we have in terms of new technology, right? So in this day and age, in terms of networking, it's TikTok, it's Instagram, it's those, main social media platforms that will get you out there. But I will say the great thing about social media is that you have ultimate connection to everyone, right? And that's a plus for art because then you can like, put out your art that way. And so what I found great about social media is that the community is there. You just have to kind of reach out, show what you got, like put out the content that you really feel and the art that you feel like you can really showcase. And the people in that community will come to you. You'll almost like magnetize them into your space. And that's what I've learned about networking these days is that no longer is it about the business card, right? It's about the magnetism of your art on social media so that people will naturally the people that are naturally kind of magnetized to that art will go to you, will come to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for
Sometimes.
sure.
Yeah. So it's about that. It's about starting from yourself, starting with your art and shooting it out through social media in the most natural and authentic way possible so that your audience is also natural and authentic.
That's
So,
awesome. Do you have
yeah.
any like best practices for curating a social media page or, how often you should be posting or anything like that. Are there any kind of those rules that you follow that you found
Mm.
success, or any words of advice?
Yeah, there are tons of rules that everyone can get caught up in terms of like algorithms and when to post and who's looking at your posts and like analytics, all of those crazy things you can really get into, which I appreciate and respect. But in the long run, what I've noticed about social media across the board throughout the years is that if it's a good post, if it's good art, quality art, it'll do its job on its own. People will appreciate that. And so there's no substitute for quality
Mm.
art. Like keep working at your art, make it amazing, and go out there and showcase it. Like don't be afraid to put it out there. So I think that that's my advice, is that create quality art and put it out there for the people to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so, one of those buzzwords and buzz topics that's in throughout every industry, and I am sure it is also a buzz topic in your industry as well.
Mm.
But how is AI,
Ooh.
artificial intelligence, impacting your field? And do you see it as a good thing, a bad thing, useful?
Mm.
What does it look like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I saw this on your list and I was like, oh my gosh, the question of artificial intelligence.
The question of our time.
The question of our time, 2024, y'all. That's a very, very good question. Obviously, with everything going on in terms of the writer strike that happened in 2023, we know about that. In terms of artificial intelligence taking over our creativity, being in that realm of like, ugh, like, do we even matter anymore as human beings, or is it about the machines now? That's hard because it's like we're gonna struggle with that. Because creativity comes from the human soul and from the human mind. I truly believe that. The best art that moves you comes from a human being, from what we create, right? And so having that come from a computer or a machine is difficult to wrap our head around. Um, so I think that we're going to continue to trudge through it and struggle through it, but I'm an optimist by nature, and so I really do believe that the technology that we come up with, there's always something good that can come out of it. So I think right now for me, how I'm using artificial intelligence, and I am using it already, just because I'm a nerd about that stuff. I'm like, ooh, let's try this. Um, there are ways to kind of move the process along quicker in terms of music. And I'll just say that, and just in a general sense, that I think we can use artificial intelligence to move things faster when we don't have to really be spending so much time on that specific thing. We can actually create art faster, still originating from the human mind, from what we want. The way that that can get a little like muddy is that if artificial intelligence is starting the idea itself and originating that idea, that can be problematic to me because it's not a human idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
do you have any like examples of, who or what is using it well and who's using it not so well, or
Yeah, I think there are creators now, especially that I see on YouTube, who are using AI to just quicken the process in terms of like tuning notes and creating maybe like chord progressions that could work well with the specific song. Like that's cool because those things can be they can take up a lot of time. But like writing songs and writing original ideas for me can be an issue because they're not human made. So I think that industry people who don't have a musical background, who can just say, well, I can just write a song now with artificial intelligence and chat GPT, that really takes away from the musician who has been doing it and really putting in the work in their craft. And that can be hard
yeah.
sometimes, you know. Um, So I don't know. It really artificial intelligence can go either way. It can be both at the same time. We're just gonna see because honestly, the truth is artificial intelligence is just gonna get better and better, right? And so we either work with it or we deny it. And so I'm the type of person that would want to work with it and see how we can bring good to our industry versus bad.
Well, it's very future thinking, and I think that's great.
Thank you.
And speaking of which, I think that a big question with someone, especially in a industry where things happen and change so quickly, what do you think is next for you, or where do you want to continue on with your journey and with your path?
Yeah, I think I want to create more. There comes a time, especially when you just come out as a music major, out of school, you just have to start making money. That's really just the world that we live in terms of, capitalism and all that stuff. You have to start making money, and that's what I did for a while. But I'm at the point now where I've done that and I've created a foundation for myself to kind of jump off of in terms of creativity. And I think that that's next for me. I think I want to be more creative. I think I want to, you know, really hone in on like art and me just being an artist, what makes me a human being and how can I portray that through my own music and through my art. I'm there now. And honestly, I'm aging myself, but it's been almost 15 years since I graduated. And it took that long for me to finally be like, I'm gonna be creative. So I would just say that I would have wanted to get to this stage faster. So I think talking to Cal State Long Beach alum who have just graduated, get to creativity faster. I think it'll be more gratifying, it'll be more satisfying that way. Um, to of course make money, but be creative at the same time. It'll be worth it. So I think that that's my goal, is just to be a lot more creative this year specifically and put out more original art than ever before.
2024, it's the year, right?
That's right. Definitely. It's our year.
Yeah. And
So
it's a
yeah.
leap year, so you get a whole extra day this year.
That's
Do it.
true. 366, right?
Yeah.
366
Three
days. That's amazing.
366 this year. Yeah, for
Nice.
sure.
I love that.
Well, as we are, all good things eventually have to come to an end. But as we're
Oh.
wrapping up with this chat here, a question that I really like to ask folks and get them to reflect on um, is, if you were to be able to get into a time machine and
Mm.
or magic wand yourself or something like that to go back and talk to yourself as you were, maybe just graduated from CSULB or just about to graduate, what advice would you give yourself? What
Mm.
would that one piece of magical advice be?
Yes. I like the magic wand idea. That's cool. I think that's better than the time machine. I love to just
Yeah,
magic
so much more
wand.
possibility.
I love it. There's so much more possibility. Um, that is such a great question. I have been more organized than I've ever been before. Um, because in my mind, I've never been an organized person, meaning in terms of like cleaning my living space, being organized with my time, all that stuff. And it's such a deal breaker. I realize just being organized and being just time management is so important. And I think that that's what I would say to my younger self because he was a mess. Yeah, he was like, there was nothing holding him down in terms of grounding him. So I would go back in time and be like, hey, you should probably clean your room. Just organize your room. You should probably just like be better with time management, schedule things, right? And don't schedule too much.
Mhm.
Schedule one thing a day. That's enough. And then get your sleep, get your rest. Don't stress out, take care of yourself. I think that that's what it would be. Um, because when you leave school, all you want to do is go at it, which is great, and that's awesome. But also at the same time, like you'll get by much faster and more efficiently too if you are organized. So Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what, yeah.
Great advice. I love it. And I think, myself, if I had that magic wand, I would probably say something similar.
Yes.
So, but I would also come back as maybe like a glitter unicorn because I think that
Oh,
would
I
be
love
easier.
that.
And I think I would
I
listen to myself better.
yes, yes, yes. I love the unicorn thing. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you
definitely.
so much. Well, thank you everyone. Thank you, BJ, so much for being here with us today. Thank you everyone for tuning in. VJ, if anyone wanted to maybe reach out to you and
Mhm,
continue the conversation or ask any questions,
mhm.
what might be a good way for them to reach out to you? LinkedIn
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I
social
think
media?
yes, social media would be great. So follow me or DM me at VRO Music, and that's also on TikTok and TikTok, Instagram as well. Those are the best ways to reach me. And then if you don't have any of those, you can always reach me by email, which is vjrosales@live.com.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay. I like it. Well, thank you
nice.
so much again. For those of you who are tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. And we just want to say again, you can find this recording at or on our website again, www.csuob.edu/alumni. And also, we encourage you to follow us as well, so that way you can be sure to see the next 49er industry chat that we have coming up. So again, thank you so much, and we will see you later.